What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to give you my game plan for the week ahead. We have just finished the first week of September. It was a 4-day week, so a little bit short. But you know what? I have to say, it was not easy. I was hoping we'd be back after the Labor Day weekend with some hot momentum. And although we did get WHLR, Wheeler Real Estate Investment Trust, the REIT, that gave us a really strong finish to the week, Tuesday and Wednesday weren't super clean, and I think for a lot of traders, Thursday and Friday still fairly choppy. So, how do we navigate these choppy waters? Clearly, there's some opportunity. We just had a stock that went up 1,500% in 2 days, but we want to avoid falling into the traps because I've also seen some huge jackknife reversals and I've seen traders get caught in them. So in today's episode, I'm going to give you my game plan for the week ahead, my watch list for Monday morning, and I'm going to share with you a couple of the tips and tricks that I'm using to help me avoid getting caught in those false breakouts. Now, right now, I am in the midst of a pretty strong hot streak. I made a change in at the end of June after sort of a difficult, frustrating month of June. I made a little bit of a shift, and that began really in earnest. Well, it was the end of June that it took effect, and then it just led to a really strong month of July, best month of the year, strong month of August, and now we're continuing into September. But as I said, September a little bit choppy. First day of the month here went into the red before recovering. On this day here, I also went into the red, and actually on Friday I went red $1,400 before I finished in the green. So 3 out of the 4 days so far this week or this month, I've gone red before going green. All right, so definitely time to pump the brakes, slow down a little bit. I don't want to get myself, in a situation where I dig a hole and have a huge red day. So if I look at my my recent, I don't know, this will just be like the last 90 days here. Last 90 days during this hot streak, I've gotten myself up over $500,000, $513,000 of profit, and you can see this has been really solid. So the change that I made began kind of right in this area here, and it's definitely been effective. All right, so if I'm going to move this up here for right now. So let's start with WHLR. So WHLR ended up squeezing actually into the close, and I did my recap on Friday, and I did actually a full length class talking about how to find these types of stocks, and this was good to see. In fact, I thought we were going to maybe like go parabolic up to these levels here, but then it just sort of it had the chance to, it started to, and then it dumped and it halted down and then stair step down now all the way back to 7. So, pretty decent pullback from those levels. At the same time, if we look at Thursday night, Thursday peaked, then pulled back after hours, and then, Friday morning, boom, like a rocket. So I don't know if we're going to get another move on this on Monday morning. I think the issue for me is that this is a company that doesn't really have an impressive balance sheet. They're operating at a net loss. I feel like, and they've got these they got a prospectus out to raise more money by selling more shares. So I am concerned that we're going to see a offering from them and that the price is going to drop. So I think it's only a matter of time at this point. So anyway, so that's kind of an issue with this one. I don't want to be in a trade and suddenly have the offering news come out and then take a big loss. That's not something I want to have happen. Because the problem with the offering news coming out is, if we look at CING had one, but when the offering news comes out, I can't think of another one that was more recent, but basically what happens is the price just instantly drops. I mean, you just have these, I don't know, I can't remember what day it was the offering news came out, but you get that offering news coming out, and you just get that instant drop. So it's even with a live stop order, it's hard to minimize your downside risk. So each day, as you guys know, I have a process that I follow. It's the same process I've been following for more than a decade, and I will be following it, of course, on Monday morning. And usually for me, I spend only a little bit of time each night preparing kind of a mental watch list. So what I do each night is I'll check my scanners and I'll check the top after hours gainers. So where is it here? Top after hours, top gainers right here. So I'll check this scan to see what was moving in the after hours session. And I'll just link it up with my charts here. And so BURU actually went up 76% after hours. Wow. It's a pretty big move from 55 cents all the way up to 91 cents. That's awesome. The only problem is that, as I often say, clearly I missed the beginning of the move. Now it popped up, it's pulled back here. So maybe we get another leg higher on Monday morning, but continuation from Friday into Monday, that doesn't always work super well. That was kind of the issue we had with BURU actually coming into Monday morning. No, it was BOF coming into Monday morning from last Friday. This was on the watch list last Friday. I said, well, it's a possibility because we had this after hours move on Friday. And then sure enough, Monday morning, no, was it, am I thinking of the right one? No, maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Sure enough, though, it was on the gap scan Monday morning, but it was choppy. INBS, second leading after hours gainer. Nice move. This one actually has something kind of interesting. We look at this and look at the volume over the last couple days. Volume, 23,000 shares, 59,000. And then here, 4.3 million. So that's like a big jump in volume. The only thing is we have these days back here that had huge volume, 80, 100 million shares, and it didn't hold those levels. So you might have some bag holders from the top of these candles. That could create upside resistance if it starts coming back up. I don't know. That might not be an ideal one. Float on it. Let's see. 2.8 million shares. That's pretty good. GLSI, this one, nice move after hours right there. So that's good to see. It's kind of got not my favorite daily chart. On the one hand, we're above our 200 moving average here, but on the other, I've been doing better on stocks that have been really beaten up for a long time, like WHLR was, and then catching that spring off the low where, we get a 1500% bounce off the low. It's so low. It's like at all-time lows, and then you get that epic bounce. So you don't have that with GLSI. Float on this one, 6.2 million, $17, a little more expensive, but maybe worth keeping an eye on. That was a pretty nice move after hours. BKSY, a little too cheap. That one's no good, I think. ZWS, too expensive. PLTR, float's going to be higher on these ones. So, all right. So that's the top gainer scanner. So is there anything from that we can put on watch for tomorrow or for Monday? GLSI, I'll save that one as a maybe. BURU, I'll say maybe, but not sure. From the top gainers on Friday, WHLR, of course, that's a maybe. BLMZ, that one pulled back probably too much. RIDE, RYDE, that one closed at its high. It did, but looking at that daily chart, similar problem. It's not a beaten up chart. It's a recent IPO. I don't know. Let's see. Looks like there was an ascending resistance line here. So we broke through that. That's good to see. Might retest it if it can hold. Maybe there's another trade higher, but it's a little more expensive, right? I mean, $18 is not bad, but 2,000 shares of that starts more money to take that trade. It's a $30,000 position. I'd kind of rather buy 6,000 shares of a $4 or $5 stock, and with that same amount of money, could get a bigger trade probably. BENF, I'm skipping over this one because the float's too high. BENF, this was the one that I traded and went red on before I went green on Friday. Choppy, right? It was just choppy. That's nothing else you could say. It's just very choppy. So don't like seeing that price action. TOVX, 16 million share float. I'm going to check another scan here. I'm going to pull up our continuation scanner. So WHLR, BOF, JBDI. Let's check that one. Yeah, recent IPO creeping higher. I haven't done super well on recent IPOs lately, though, so I'm a little hesitant. TCBP, another one that gave us a nice move, and a pop after hours, too. Look at that pop. That's interesting. Weird. Huh, I don't know. This one's got a super low float, but it doesn't seem to be giving us that move. LASE. Yeah, I don't see anything on here that I like a lot, but I'll put JBDI on the side chart as well. I'll save that over there. And then let's grab another scan here. So I'm going to do top of trend, see what stocks close to the top of their trend. Oops, I got to link that up. ABLT. Yeah, it's kind of cheaper though. These ones, the floats are higher. I think I'll leave those alone. Okay, so nothing on that one. And then I'm just gonna do one more scan here. Top change since the open. Okay, interesting. So this was our biggest percentage change since the open on Friday. Kind of lighter volume, but it just made a nice move, 44%. RYDE, yep. TOVX, saw that one. LIPO. So these are stocks that may not have been on the gap scan, but just kind of started squeezing and kept moving. Okay. All right. So got 3 stocks for the side chart: BURU, GLSI, and JBDI. S&P 500 ended up selling off Friday. So we initially had this economic data that came out at 8:30, drops, pops up, and then just sold off all day long. So the overall market is on a little bit of a pullback, and that may be part of why September so far has been a little choppier. So that's something to be aware of. Bigger red days. We'll watch around the 200 moving average here to see if we get support. Realistically, that's where we have support at this point. It's not really anywhere sooner than that. So we might dip a little bit lower before rallying back up. That's kind of the, obviously the pivot right at the top there, and then our all-time highs. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get a little bit more dip and then we get another rally. The thing is, the rallies have been so powerful. So once we get that next rally, then we'll have it sort of a tailwind for the move back up. NVIDIA, pretty volatile last week. Large cap stock, of course. Conversation about DOJ investigation. Tesla was also pretty volatile last week. So big red day on Friday. It's pretty nasty. It's like a big red candle there. All right, so my game plan for Monday morning, I've got these 3 stocks on watch on side chart. And then I've got, oh, I thought this was a joke. Wait, I thought this was a joke. Are you for real? So I saw Elon Musk make that post, but I was like, just assumed that was a joke. So he's Department of Government efficiency. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. I just don't, I guess I don't watch the news enough to know that that was actually not a joke. Okay. Well, anyways, that's that. So tomorrow, my game plan, got 3 stocks kind of on side chart. We'll keep those on watch. When I first sit down, what I'll do bright and early is I'll pull up the scans on my phone, right? So my process each day is the same. You guys know that. I pull up the scans on my phone because I'm trying to figure out, is there a stock today that meets the profile of the type of stock that could make a big move, like a WHLR? I was able to trade WHLR very early in the move because I knew that it met the profile. The float, the price, the news, the volume, the relative volume, the percentage change, the fact that it was the #1 gainer, like everything lined up on that one. So what I do is I pull up my scan and I'm looking at the top, 3 stocks generally. And I'm just asking myself, okay, of these 3, which ones look sort of the most, are any of them meeting the profile? They've got to have a float of under 10 million shares. They need to be up at least 30, 40%. And that's sort of the beginning threshold. And I prefer to see the prices under $20. Under 10 is even better. So Ride is like a little too expensive, even though the float's okay. But BLMZ, BENF, these price-wise are all fine. That float's a little higher. So I'll pull up this scan and I'll see, are one of the 3 stocks from the watch list going to be on that scan? Maybe. It's possible. But if they're not, then it means they've been sort of replaced by something else, and so I won't trade them. Just because it's on my watch list doesn't mean I'll trade it. So I'll see what is on this scan on Monday morning, and do we have something that looks pretty good? So step 1, I pull up the scans on my phone. So Day Trade Dash on my phone in my browser app. I pull up the scans and I check to see, do any of them look good just from this? I don't even look at the charts. So if I pull up the scans, for instance, and I don't know, I just see, don't pretend that one's not there. I just see these. I'll be like, these are up 5%, 20 million share floats. No, I'm not even going to pull up the charts on any of them. I know that they don't meet the profile. If I see this, I'm going to pull up the charts for sure immediately on WHLR. So next step, pulling up the chart. And look at the 5-minute chart. Now the 5-minute chart, if I see something like this, I'm going to be like, oh, well, it popped up at 4 a.m. and it's already selling off. So I don't know, it's probably nothing to look at. But if I pulled it up and it looked kind of like this, like, whoa, it's popping up and it's still holding up, then what do I do next? I start to do my due diligence. I check to see what the news catalyst is. Is there a news headline? What's driving this thing higher? I look at the daily chart. Is there any nearby resistance that I have to worry about? What was the volume in the previous trading sessions? Does it have any days where there's high volume that could create bag holders? And if there's none of that, then I start to get really excited, right? So then I'm starting to look. I'm at that point, I'm coming over to get on my computer to pull up my level 2 and begin to look for an entry. And, for those of you guys that have been tuning in for a while, I've sort of simplified my strategy down to, basically 3 steps. Step 1 is to find stocks on the scan that are moving. Step 2 is to figure out the fundamental catalyst that's driving the stock higher. And then step 2, part 2 is both this is my due diligence. So fundamental analysis, then technical analysis. And step 3 is executing the trade. So in this section here of technical analysis, this is where I'm looking at the candlestick charts. I'm checking the position of my indicators. I'm looking at the volume profile. I'm looking at the level 2. I'm starting to get really nuanced and asking myself, does this thing look like the type of stock that's going to squeeze? And then step 3, I'm executing the trade in my platform. And of course, I'm trading pre-market. And for my platform, I don't have to change my time in force. Day works from 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. But I know on some platforms, you have to change this to extended hours to work pre-market. I'm using limit orders, and then I offset my order above the offer. So if the offer is 632, if I put an order at 694, that's going to go through at the current market price, but the most I would pay is 694. So I just put a limit there. That's the most I'm willing to pay. And from there, I'm then actively trading the stock. Now, one of the things that you guys, I think, know is I've been really trying to focus on following this strategy, which has been key to this hot streak that I'm currently on. So the strategy has been based on position management. So my actual trading strategy hasn't changed. I've been doing the same strategy for a long time. But what has changed are sort of little subtle techniques. And so the technique is 1/4 position until plus 20 cents per share, right? So I'm trading with a 1/4 position size of my full size until I'm up 20 cents per share. So right now my full position size is like 20,000 shares. Now there are times where I'll go heavier than that, but not usually. So a 1/4 is about 5,000 shares, whatever. So 5,000 share max size until I'm up 20 cents, which is $1,000. All right, so once I'm up $1,000, at that point, I take the 5,000 share cap off. I'm ready to take 10, 15,000 shares and be aggressive. But those first few trades are important because if on that first trade I go red, well, I'm only going red with 5,000 shares with a small size starter. So on Friday, I went red $1,400 on my first trade. Second trade, I end up making $2,000. So 40-cent winner on 5,000 shares. So managing my risk, not being super aggressive. Actually, I can't remember what I did for share size on Friday. But anyways, went red, then came back and got green. And then once I build my cushion on the day, which is $1,000, that's when I give myself the green light to take more risk and be more aggressive, right? That's kind of the right way to do it. Now, and this has helped me a lot because on days where I go red on that first trade, I might acknowledge like, wow, okay, the market is really choppy today. This is not time to be aggressive. I've got to be more conservative. Keep trading with small size. But because I trade as frequently as I do, trading on the 1-minute time frame, looking for ABCD patterns, first pullback and everything else, I usually can find 10, 15 trades in a day, which means although I might go red on the first one, since my accuracy is 65 to 70%, there's a good chance if I find 8 or 9 more trades that I'll be green in net as long as I keep myself with small size. Now, it's not impossible that I could have 5 or 10 losing trades in a row. I mean, that just because I've got 70% accuracy doesn't mean I couldn't have a losing streak. But usually those losing streaks are the result of getting desperate and lowering my quality threshold. So I start trading low quality stuff. And when you trade low quality stuff, well, obviously you dig yourself a hole. So this is actually a good observation. So let's look at the month of August here. So by the way, broker statement for August is uploaded. It's on the website. So you guys could check that out if you wanted to. Sometimes people are skeptical, and that's fine. I upload those statements at the end of each month. So last month, there it is. All right. So last month, we're going to look at August. $171,000 gross profit. Average winners 516, average losers 283. So a great profit to loss ratio. And check out this accuracy, 70%. Nice. That's on 611 trades. So the accuracy here was really strong. I did have commissions of $3,000 and I had ECN routing fees of $15,000. And now I've actually heard of traders paying some fees with even with Thinkorswim on transaction fees. So when you're trading higher price stocks like Spot and the SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, stuff like that, those fees will add up even for you guys over there. But anyways, I'm mostly trading lower price stocks, so it's not as big of a deal. But so that's last month. Now let's compare that with this month. So this month here, we're 4 days in, and high level, $20,000 of profit. Average winners, just under 400, so a little smaller than last month. Average losers, 186, but that's also smaller. So I'm still trading with a 2-to-1 profit to loss ratio, but accuracy. My accuracy is like 20% lower than it was in August. It went from 70% to 58%. Now, granted, it's only on 137 trades. If I could have, 7 or 8 winners in a row early next week, it'll boost my accuracy. And the problem really was here that I had a couple of days with really low accuracy. I had 6 consecutive losses at one point so far this month. I've gotten myself, I was just being a little too aggressive. And so if we look at my performance by day of the week, there's not a lot to see there. Well, I guess there's not a lot to see here either, really, but because I'm green in total. But this accuracy is something for me to pay attention to going into next week. I think that what happened these last couple days, I had such a strong July and August that I started September kind of swinging hard. I was like, all right, it's time to step up to the plate. But if you recall, I was like tiny green, then red, and then back to green, and then took kind of a big loss. This is one of the biggest losses I'd had in a while. So I got slammed on this stock and I'm down 2,500. I'm trying to recover and then back into the red and then back to green here and, finally finish green. But it was not easy. It was not an easy day. And then, Friday I went red as well. So it's just, I think maybe coming into Monday, what surprised me was that I thought I was going to have a really good day on Tuesday. And the reason I thought I was going to have a really good day was I'd been having good days on the first day of the week for the last month. So I sort of was like, Tuesday's the first day of the week here. I think I'm going to have a good day. And maybe I just got overconfident. I kind of psyched myself like, I'm going to have a great day. First day of September, and then all of a sudden I'm like in the red. So, and I am starting to feel a little bit of mental pressure around this hot streak I've been on, which is really a trap in thinking because red days are okay. It's more important that I'm disciplined each day and that I'm following my rules. And then the process is intact. Profits are the byproduct. And some days just might happen to be red and it's a small red day and it doesn't matter. But I've got to be a little careful. So I'm not counting how many days this has been. I don't want to know the number, but I know my longest green streak ever was 56 consecutive days. And I've gotten that a little in my head because I know the exact number. So I'm like, all right, if I can keep this up through the rest of this month, I should break that streak. And that's kind of like in my head, and I have to try to not hold that too closely because that can be counterproductive because it really doesn't matter. Red days are okay. Successful red days are important. It's just sometimes when you notice all of a sudden you've got this long stretch, it's a little bit of a perfectionist thing. And being a perfectionist in trading is not a good trait. It's better just to let the losses happen, cut the losses quickly and move on. So anyways, so that's something I'm dealing with a little bit right now. It's things could be worse. It's not that big of a deal. But, and then I was going to look at year to date. So year to date here, sitting in pretty good shape on the year, $742,000 of profit, starting to kind of get myself with a little bit of an optimistic goal of crossing $1 million before the end of the year in gross profit. I think it's realistic. I think that I can do it, but the market definitely needs to cooperate. If I keep following the process every single day and we keep seeing the type of volatility that we've had these last 6-8 weeks, then it's going to happen no problem. But if the market cools off quite a bit, then, I'll just have to be content with what the market's willing to give me. And that's kind of that element of it's out of my control. It's actually out of my control how much money I make this year, because I can control how much risk I take on every trade. I can control how much I'm willing to lose, but I really can't control how much I make. What I make will be a product of how volatile the market is, whether or not we have stocks that have great news and go up 1,500% like WHLR, or if we don't. So last year, for instance, just for context, so last year I did $389,000 of profit in the whole year. So I've already almost doubled last year, and it's September. And that's the reality of trading. You could have a year where you make half of what you made last year. You could have a year where you make double what you made last year. There's just that element that's out of your control. And that can be hard for traders because we start to get fixated on I've got my daily goal. I've got my weekly goal. I've got my monthly goal. What's happening? It's not coming through. And it's well, the market's not giving you that volatility. So now you have choices. What do you do? Do you add another strategy? Do you change your strategy? Do you stop trading what's been working? Or do you keep that, but then you add something different? And some people will. I've seen some people who will leave small caps and go trade crypto, or they'll go trade penny stocks, or they'll trade OTC stocks or whatever. I've been pretty, loyal to staying in my niche, my kind of corner of the market, and just riding the cold stretches out. And then when it comes back up, I'm there. But, and then of course, other people will have side hobbies or, hustles, side hustles, whatever, that are outside of trading. So when trading is slow, it's all right, I'm not going to spend as many hours focusing on trading. I'll spend more time here. And I'm not really like that, but I will, when the market is hot, I will stay longer. I'll trade longer because I'm this is the time where, you'll get more for the squeeze, essentially. The more you trade in a hot market, when your average winners are high, the more money you'll make. So you don't want to cut yourself short and be I'm only going to trade for 30 minutes a day in the hot market. It's if there was ever a time to trade for 4 or 5 hours, it would be during a hot market. During a cold market, yeah, maybe you just get in, get green, get out, and don't overstay your welcome. My number of trades last year, 2,200. That was for all of last year. Let's see where I'm at year to date. So year to date, I'm already at 3,200. So there's been a lot more opportunities, right? But then we go back to a year I don't know, we could do 2022. 2022. Let's see what I did for 2022. So 2022, let's see, 800,000 and 2,800 trades, right? So, I'm kind of coming back up to the 2022 numbers. We go back to 2019, pre-pandemic. 2019 was a really slow year. Look at that, it's 376,000, but only 1,200 trades. So, 2018, this was about 500,000, right? So, was that 20? I'm thinking of 2017, but in any case, doesn't really matter. So, $416,000 and 1,000 trades. So, this is kind of where you got to just sort of ride the momentum of the market, obviously try to build your strategy and always seek to improve, but there's going to be ups and downs. So, when it's hot, dig deep, be aggressive as you can. And when it's cold, slow down a little bit, right? Take your foot off the gas. Don't be too aggressive. Be calm, cool, and collected. And this strategy of trading with small size until I've hit that first kind of threshold has really helped me on cold days. Keep myself sort of on slow mode unless the market is calling for me to step up. All right, so with that, that's my recap or my game plan for the week ahead. I hope you guys check out a 2-week trial at Warrior Trading. There'll be a link pinned at the top of the comments and a link in the description so you can join me and trade side by side with me for the next 2 weeks. See what you think of being part of the Warrior Trading community. And I'll remind you guys, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow. And I'll see you guys back here bright and early. I'll be live streaming on Monday morning.